This is Peter McCullough that you're looking at in the middle. He's on Drew Pinsky's show, Dr. Drew. He was a TV doctor for like Rehab and Loveline. I think he was on like some nationally syndicated radio show. Anyway, he had Peter McCullough on, and this guy seems to believe that vaccines cause autism and that autism causes being trans. Thus, the trans problem, quote unquote, as he views it, is caused by vaccines, and we need to like cancel all vaccine related anything. And he's apparently like a real doctor, as far as I can tell. Does he have an active medical license? I'm not really sure, but he has apparently written some studies that are considered very valuable, that have been cited a lot. That might be because of his notoriety, because he's well known, so like a lot of people are going to cite. I don't know, but he appears to be real, as far as I can tell. So anyway, let's give this a listen, see what they have to say to each other. Bound to be psychotic. And while we do, we're actually going to play some Mario Odyssey. If you never played it before, it should just be in the background, won't bother you too much. This is not part one. If you didn't see the other, don't sweat it. I'll give context if it's missing.
Leukemia is completely related, looks like temporally related to the vaccine.
Yeah, right now he's claiming that he's talking about the turbo cancer conspiracy theory. It's a conspiracy that claims that cancers are on a dramatic rise as a result of the mRNA vaccines, as a result of the COVID vaccines. And it's supercharged. It's nonsense. It's a lie.
And it wasn't just this case, but now there's 9 other cases. The point I'm making is all these cancer registries that are linked to the National Institutes of Health should immediately have a linkage to the CDC data, and it should be explored. I'm an epidemiologist. We should explore this.
Put that.
Yeah, he's a cardiologist. Now he's saying he's an epidemiologist. I thought people usually specialized in one area of medicine. Did he decide to like change halfway through COVID or something? I don't know. I'm not sure what's happening.
That last screen up there again, Caleb, you would about cancers over there. So now people are getting confused about cancer deaths and cancer incidents too, because cancer, we're doing a wonderful job treating cancer. So deaths are actually going down, but incidence is up, particularly in younger people. And it's been going up since 2009 though. Right. And if you...
Oh, that's interesting, isn't it? Been going up since 2009. How about that? So it sounds to me like there is no causal link between COVID or the vaccines and cancer. I mean, he's blaming the vaccines on this. There's no reason to think that it's vaccine related. It could very well be COVID related. Just plain getting COVID causes cancer. But again, no evidence. None. Dude is a scientist that publishes papers. He knows that this is bullshit. He knows it. He must. Like, in what world does this guy believe anything that he's saying? I don't understand how he could go to go to medical school and get all these degrees and understand the scientific method well enough to write studies that are cited regularly and still believe this bullshit.
You look at it, it's sort of the slope is rather steady, and then it takes a tick up at 19 as though a second thing maybe happened.
Well, listen, there's been other explanations proposed, to be fair. One of them is just what's called a lead time bias. So during the lockdowns, people missed their mammograms, colonoscopies, other things.
The UK sort of ruled that out, didn't they? They looked at that very carefully because they've got all that.
Like, this is all completely fabricated, what he's saying right now. This is fear-mongering nonsense. Quick interjection, this won't take long, I promise. I'd appreciate it if you watched to the end of the video, or at least a couple extra seconds, because YouTube bases its algorithm off of watch time. The more watch time a video has, the further the video will go. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I'm selling my book, Understanding Jehovah's Witnesses, 400 pages, and my second book, 100 Questions for Jehovah's Witnesses, which is about 80 pages. And you can find them both there on the website. Audio form, ebook form, whatever. It's about my experiences within the religion and the history of the religion generally. The 100 questions are intended to challenge a religious leader, so I'd appreciate it if you give it a read. Okay, back to the video.
That data, and they're saying it's not screening. It's not that. It's not.
Who is they? Who is saying this?
So during the lockdowns, people missed their mammograms, colonoscopies, other things.
The UK sort of ruled that out, didn't they? They looked at that.
The UK? What organization in the UK ruled this out? What do you mean? Oh my God. Oh my God. I died again. This sucks. I'm terrible at this game. Just the worst.
Very carefully because they've got all that data and they're saying it's not screening. It's not that.
You know what this sounds like? The UK ruled that out. I'll tell you what this sounds like. Sherry Tenpenny, actual real doctor, claiming that anybody who's over the age of 30 and has been vaccinated by the end of 2023, I think. No, by the end of 2022, is going to have AIDS from vaccines, which to my knowledge isn't a thing. But of course, you know, she doesn't care. Just wants to propagandize.
The more shots you get, the more you destroy your immune system and the faster that happens. And it's anticipated. The German data says.
What German data? This is the problem right here. It's weasel words. She's not specifying where this data came from, who wrote this data, who was the author of this paper. I don't care if the UK did anything. I care about scientists doing something. So did the scientific community rule certain things out or what? If they did, show me the study. All I need is evidence. And I instantly, you got to believe in me like that.
That by the end of 2022, every fully vaccinated person over the age of 30 may have the equivalent of full-blown vaccine-induced immune-suppressed AIDS.
Of course, complete nonsense. I'm over 30. I have 4 vaccines, I think. 3 or 4. And I don't have AIDS. How about that? Just complete garbage. I've never watched anyone else play this, so you're the best player I've ever seen. Keep it up. I appreciate it. Thank you for the pep talk, but I suck. Anyway, the point is that Drew Pinsky is saying the exact same thing as Sherry Tenpenny there. The exact same thing.
I'm biased. So during the lockdowns, people missed their mammograms, colonoscopies, other things.
The UK sort of ruled that out, didn't they? They looked at that.
The UK ruled that out. The German data says, give me something more.
Very carefully because they've got all that data and they're saying it's not screening. It's not that.
They've got all that data? Then why don't you have all that data? Who has that data? What data?
It's not.
And why do you call it data instead of data?
People coming in with symptoms or sickness that apparently didn't significantly affect the incidence or the way the cancers went.
It should be investigated. And the new thing is the vaccines. You point out we're all has to take it. The CDC has all the data. The Vaccine Administration data set should be a public.
Well, at least he's pronouncing data correctly.
Use data set, and we should be able to merge it with cancer registries, all-cause mortality. There should be a full-throated effort to vet this now because people have questions.
Do you watch John Campbell at all?
I mean, people always have questions. Questions are in the nature of how the scientific method works. Yes, questions are important. Everybody's asking these questions. It's important to know the answers. But questions does not mean a definitive answer, as he's implying here. I have questions about whether COVID causes cancer. Apparently, in his mind, that means COVID causes cancer. Just complete nonsensical garbage, all of it. Oh my God, I suck. I suck at this game. I'm terrible.
The nurse, really. He's a British nurse, PhD, who was doing kind of what I was doing and sort of French undergrounding during COVID. Like, what do we understand this? How do we do it? He's trying to show the data. Very, very systematic, brilliant guy.
Why do you say data? That's stupid.
And he started all of a sudden going, wait, something's wrong.
Has he ever watched Star Trek? You don't say data, it's data. This bothers me so much. It probably bothers me more than it should. Quick interjection, this won't take long, I promise. I just want to say I'd appreciate it if you check my Patreon. OwenMorgan.com/Patreon to find it. YouTube's algorithm goes up and down, so I can never predict where it's going to be. Having patrons gives me some level of stability. Okay, back to the video.
What I was doing and sort of French undergrounding during COVID. Like, what do we understand this? How do we do it? He's trying to show the data. Very, very systematic, brilliant guy. And he started all of a sudden going, wait, something's wrong. Something's up here. Why are they mandating this thing? Why are we doing it? And one of the things that is never discussed is during Alpha and Delta, you could make a case for the vaccine even if there was significant risk from it. Let's say we admitted that it was pick a number, risk. Alpha Delta, I had it was brutal. It was not the flu. I'm sorry. It was brutal. I had patients die of it. It was a brutal illness.
I mean, for some people and for other people, it wasn't brutal. That was the problem. Some people came out fine and others did not. He had patients die of this. He's a psychiatrist. right? It's psychiatry, isn't it? Does he have another medical degree that I'm unaware of? What patients is he seeing? Hold on. Drew Pinsky, medical degree. I'm sorry, no, he's got a degree in, hang on, physician and graduate of the Keck University of Southern California School of Medicine. Dude, I love the name. Keck U. Keck U. That's fantastic. Keck. And was he completed his residency in internal medicine and was subsequently selected as the chief medical resident. He spent several decades practicing internal medicine in an acute hospital at outpatient settings. Okay, fair enough. I guess he does have a full-blown medical degree in internal medicine and practiced it for a long time. It doesn't change the fact that he's dumb as dog shit, seemingly.
I'm dumber than a box of rocks in a lot of areas.
As they say.
Brutal. It was not the flu. I'm sorry. It was brutal. I had patients die of it. It was a brutal illness. And a vaccine that had...
I had it like 3 times. It wasn't brutal for me. I mean, it sucked. It wasn't fun, but it was not even as bad as the flu, truthfully. For me. The point is that people had it differently. Like, they experienced it differently from everyone else. It was all different. I don't remember what hospitalization rates were. Was it 12% were hospitalized? Completely overwhelmed our hospitalization system. And that number may not be correct. I think it's somewhere in there. Wow, he hit me and I still got him. Interesting. So, like, somewhere in the range of like 12% who got COVID were hospitalized. And I don't know, 1% maybe actually died of it. But the problem is, you know, being hospitalized and overwhelming everything, overwhelming our whole system. That was a huge issue.
At some risk made some sense. But by the time they were putting mandates in place, we'd already gone over to Omicron.
There were never any mandates. There were never vaccine mandates, ever. There was a testing mandate for a lot of workplaces, or for some workplaces. I guess there might have been a vaccine mandate for workplaces specifically, but the federal government never passed any mandates, ever. You had to be tested, or you had to exempt yourself from the tests, from the testing mandate by getting vaccinated. But it doesn't even matter because that was shot down by the Supreme Court. So there were never any mandates from the federal government.
Right, which is an entirely different situation. Most people had natural immunity, and it was just a completely different circumstance. And yet
most people had natural immunity, okay.
They're staying with their original sort of attitude on vaccination in an...
I don't think most people had natural immunity. Most people didn't catch COVID, but that's still millions of people who did. I'm not sure if... I don't know what the rate of natural immunity is, but he doesn't either, apparently. He's not giving me information on this.
Entirely different situation. Most people had natural immunity, and it was just a completely different circumstance, and yet they're staying with their original sort of attitude on vaccination in an entirely different clinical circumstance.
I got Omicron, you remember, if it was that week of...
Oh my God, Jesus, I forgot Dave Rubin was here.
It was Christmas week 21 when it really blew up, and I got it in LA, and then we moved here. We didn't.
That's where I got it. I got it too. I was at a party at your house.
Wait,
you had a party before you left.
It's very
maybe you got it
possible
from me.
Were you guys kissing or what?
One way or another.
That's funny. I like that. That was a good one. Were you guys kissing or what? That's funny.
No, we had indoor parties. We were real
there you go.
Well, you had but indoor. His house opened all the way out to the outside.
Your palatial estate.
The fact that I left that house is still killing me, but that's how badly I had to get out of California. But I remember getting here, and you could get monoclonal treatment here in Florida. I got monoclonal treatment. I think it was either the day we got here or the day.
Yeah, I remember that. Monoclonal antibodies. You're getting a straight injection of the antibodies necessary to cure COVID. It was much more complicated than that. I looked into this to understand how this stuff is produced, and I think that the vaccine and the monoclonal antibodies, which were very expensive and very uncommon, I think that they were grown on certain fruits. So they had gigantic fields with certain fruits and some kind of a fungal infection on those fruits, I believe. You know, they would take that fruit, they would pick it, and they would do this process of extraction trying to extract, similar to how penicillin is made, I guess. I think that's what it was. I don't remember, and it's really hard to find the exact process of mass producing a vaccine like that. But anyway, or monoclonal antibodies or anything.
We got back. I was fine.
There you go.
My only COVID symptoms truly were that my knees hurt a little bit.
Yeah.
That really.
Wow, dude. Guy got monoclonal antibodies to basically cure COVID. And he's like, and I was fine, see? I took the cure and I was fine. So COVID isn't that bad. You got to be joking with this.
Always safe and effective. I used them extensively through the pandemic.
I was going down. I was having...
Used what extensively? Monoclonal antibodies? They were super rare and super expensive. I think it cost like $70,000 for a monoclonal antibody treatment at one point.
Bad case of COVID, and during the infusion, I started feeling better.
Yeah.
The colors of the room got brighter.
That's it.
And I told the nurse who was doing the infusion, he said, "Oh yeah, I hear that all day long."
It's a travesty. We had pre-purchased doses for every American.
Well,
every ER should have had those.
Bamlanivimab, but I did Instagram lives every night while I was sick, going, the public health should be teaching you how to get well, how you should treat your family members, what can be done for this. And what I got back was, "Oh, you're special. You can afford it." No, it's free. Government already bought it. But then, right after you got your Omicron,
then Biden came down and tried to
cut it off.
Yeah,
he cut it off.
I'm sorry? What the hell are they talking about? Biden cut what off? Another example of a conspiracy theory that these people are they're lighting little fires and just hoping nobody knows anything about it, hoping nobody knows enough to debunk these or to put out these little fires. Dude, this is like really hard. Sorry.
They pulled them. There's 5 of them. They pulled them off one after another.
Yep.
Ron DeSantis down here went nuts.
They cut off Florida.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Ron DeSantis went nuts when essentially they started to rig the distribution of them.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're talking about. The vaccine or what? I mean, they all hate the vaccine on this show, right? So it can't be that.
That's what that was.
Yeah.
You forget.
Look, the silver lining to all of this is that...
Is there a silver lining? I guess it showed us what's really going on.
It showed us a little bit behind the curtain, right? So we saw that the great and powerful Oz isn't that great and powerful. That's part of it. It also...
Who is the Oz in this scenario?
Showed us that we're going to have to build new things and we're going to have to think about healthcare differently. We're going to have to think of our institutions differently. I'm more where you guys are more on the science expert side. I'm more of a media creature. And one of the things that I'm very happy about right now is the trust in mainstream media has absolutely collapsed.
And it's going down further.
And it is deservingly so. There are risks that are associated with that because if we have no common sense making apparatus in a country, then over time you could see why that could become a problem, because between algorithms and just the endless bad ideas that are now floating around, that could become a problem. But the attention and the amount of trust that we have given CNN and the New York Times and the rest of these institutions.
I mean, CNN has never really been super trusted, right? I mean, especially in recent years, they've been really, really terrible. CNN has, and everybody acknowledges and agrees with that pretty much. Just about everybody. I don't know anybody who watches CNN exclusively and swears by them.
Perhaps 20 or 30 years ago, they were better, but they're pretty horrible now. And I always say, it's like, we don't need them to be that great. Americans will swallow a lot of BS. We're distracted. It's a function of our success that we're doing other things. So you can lie to us about almost everything, but not everything, because then people start waking up. And I think that that's kind of where we're at right now.
Sheeple start waking up. Sheeple!
Yeah.
Across the board, whether it's related to health or whether it's related to media or the way they've lied to us about the border. I mean, we could do this on almost every important.
Oh my God, dude. Again, lighting little fires because he knows that people aren't going to be well informed on every single subject that he lays out here. And they're not going to stop every 15 seconds. Oh my God, I just died. They're not going to stop every 15 seconds to debunk it. Well, guess who has all the time in the world and 2 thumbs? This guy right here. So we're going to sit here and debunk all of it.
Important topic.
I agree. And I think it should be more, they should be doing worse than they are, frankly.
Yeah, there's no like lie about the border or whatever. Is what I was trying to say. That's the point there. There's no like big border lie or whatever. The border immigration is not as bad as Republicans want everybody to think. And actually, immigration is extremely valuable to a country. And we should be, trying to bring immigrants in desperately because we're going to need massive immigration in the near future. The more people that are in a country, the bigger the economy, the stronger the economy is. The more economic workers that are in a country, the more valuable it is. So anyway, we need to bring immigrants in ASAP is the point here.
You know what I mean?
I'm trying.
Yeah, well, if I can help, please let me know, because it's offensive the way they. I won't do print interviews. I haven't done them for years because they're
the media.
Yep. You ever heard of Gelman amnesia? Either of you? Gelman amnesia?
No.
Michael Crichton tells this story, I think, on a Charlie Rose interview. He goes, there was this physicist named Dr. Gelman, Gell-MANN. And he said whenever he's reading the paper and comes upon a physics story, he was a physicist, he'd go, oh God, they cannot get this right. They're just this is a lie, or it's complete distortion. It's just so wrong. And then he'd go on and read the rest of the paper and assume the rest was accurate.
Well, there is actually pop science. That is a problem, to be fair. Oh, here's one. Turns out that gorillas are capable of using sign language. No, they're not. They know that if they move in a specific way, they'll get food, or they'll make their trainer happy or whatever. They didn't understand what they were doing. Dogs, for example. Yeah, it turns out dogs are capable of hitting a button and telling the owner what's happening. No, dogs are just capable of understanding, I don't know, like 12 different commands or something. And if you have a button that uses that command, the dog can say the command by hitting the button. That's it. Oh, you have to shake your controller to breathe fire. Oh, thanks for that. Okay. I didn't even... I knew there was some way to do that. I just didn't remember what it was. Anyway, the point is that pop science is a problem. It completely misrepresents what's happening. It misrepresents science or scientific knowledge or information or whatever entirely. So, I guess I'm going to say that that's a problem, but that's as far as I'll go.
You go, oh God, they cannot get this right. They're just this is a lie, or it's complete distortion. It's just so wrong. And then he'd go on and read the rest of the paper and assume the rest was accurate. Well,
I mean, there are different authors, aren't there? And different sections of the newspaper. So, yeah, I mean...
Physics, they were off base. Have them write a story about you one day, and you see how off base they are. They just go into crazy zone. I mean, dude, your thing with the that you have on your framed in your studio now.
Me and Jordan Peterson and Milton Friedman and Thomas Sowell were head of the alt-right. I mean, pretty impressive.
Well,
I said this before. Oh, I guess that was the end of the game. Yeah, I mean, I can go through and do more stuff, so we're going to do that as soon as it finishes with this little credit scene or whatever. But when the alt-right emerged in 2014, 2015, 2016, I mean, it existed long before that, but it really started getting popular in 2014, 2015, and 2016. And at the time, it just meant somebody who is disaffected with the left and doesn't like the right, but would take an alternative. So they're on the right, but it's kind of an alternative right, not the traditional right. A lot of YouTubers at the time came out and said that they're alt-right, like Armored Skeptic. God, you guys remember Armored Skeptic? You may not. I don't know. Anyway, he said he was alt-right originally. And then Richard Spencer came out and said, no, I'm the leader of the alt-right. And he was a Nazi, like a full-blown Nazi. And it turns out that alt-right is a term that had existed for like a very long time. It referred to Nazis. So Dave Rubin and many other people identified with the alt-right movement of the time, which wasn't Nazi. It was just an alternative to the left. That's the point. So yes, he was alt-right at the time under its active definition.
Thing is,
congratulations
on the print.
Did you go up in the mountains now, where and get your what was it that?
What do we do up there in the mountains?
You're getting your militias together.
Oh, the militia. No.
What's your name that said that?
We have militias all over.
What was it that said that? Help me. So she's an African American, older congresswoman from Los Angeles.
Oh, Maxine Waters.
Yeah.
Maxine Waters. Is she African American? Because African American is a specific designation that refers to people who were victims of the slave trade in some way and now live in America. That doesn't mean black, but okay, go on.
But here's the point with the print interview. You can't control the final product, and it gets out there in print. When we're doing this, you can control every word.
Of course.
You control every word. You control the content. You know exactly what
you control what? Hang on.
Control the final product, and it gets out there in print. Yeah. When we're doing this, you can...
Doing what? When we're doing social media? You can control every word in social media? What the hell are you going on about right now?
Control every word.
Of course.
You control every word. You control the content. You know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
No.
And I agree with you. Early on, Bloomberg wanted to interview me.
Don't do print.
I did a print interview. I said, "Oh my Lord."
Yep.
It just what came out. I said, "Never again."
Well, the people that write it don't see it as their job to actually report what you said.
Okay, I don't know what they're talking about, but these people are legitimately like complete nutcases. They're unglued from reality. Drew Pinsky here, and what's his name, and Peter McCullough, both, and Dave Rubin, honestly. Media generally, traditional TV media, print media, whatever type of media it happens to be, media generally has a responsibility to report information that is accurate and point out when somebody is inaccurate about something. I don't want to do this one. So I don't know what they're referring to specifically. Like, I don't know what Drew Pinsky had happened to him, or like what what article was written or whatever. I don't know. I'm not sure. But yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me to find that people were critical of him in Bloomberg or whatever. The same with Peter McCullough. That wouldn't surprise me. But it's deserved in their case. Completely 100% deserved. I have to say, though, I've been victim of propaganda campaigns on social media. People just, well, not people, specific person. And just a very small, select group of people lying about me to the best of their ability, insanely. Just, it was intentional, I mean, everybody of any significant size in social media has had this experience at some point in time, where people lie about them, propagandize, they twist the truth, they weaponize a lack of information on certain subjects. This is part of being on social media, unfortunately, or just being a public figure to any degree. It's part of the deal. I don't like that any more than these people do, but welcome to media, Holy shit, dude, this is crazy. This is crazy hard.
Their job is to make a case or tell a story.
No, they've become activists largely instead of journalists.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know what article they're talking about again, but that does not sound accurate to me. I mean, there are plenty of accurate, reputable print media sources. And if you're going to, Bloomberg for your information, or Fox News or whatever, you're probably going to the wrong place. You should probably be going to AP News or Reuters print media rather than, Fox News or USA Today or the Daily Mail or whatever. Those are absolutely terrible sources.
I wish we could probably, if the three of us just really sat here and tried to figure out how many true journalists remain in the United States, we could probably do it on two hands. And that's sad and dangerous. And it's really dangerous. And it puts a lot of pressure.
Oh, give me a break.
The funny thing is, people come up to me all the time when I'm out here in the store or wherever I am at the park. People will be like, "Dave, you're the only one I trust." And I'm like, man.
That's bad. I've said this before. I'll say it again. I should not be your sole source of news or information. I do talk about the news. I'm commentary, but I should be like the bottom rung. You can consume information through me, but you should really go to print media like Reuters or AP News, specifically BBC America is pretty good, to get your news. That's where I get a lot of news. And these people, those news websites and those news like print media and all that, they do criticize people pretty frequently. There's nothing wrong with criticizing people, like these three chuckleheads right here. Nothing wrong with criticizing people. It's just, got to be done sparingly and carefully and honestly.
And we are We are screwed. I'm doing the best I can, but I'm not an expert in most of these things. I think I have a way of taking what's going on in the world and communicating it to people in a decent way. But if that's what somebody is left with, then where we are at as a society is a really, really dangerous spot.
I'm not sure that's true. Well, we'll see how that plays out.
I hope you're right.
I think you ask great questions and you allow people to give the information, provide the information you ask.
He's a commentator. Dave Rubin comments on news. He shouldn't even be a source of news for people. They should be getting their news elsewhere.
Ask more questions.
Then you guys should work on cloning, because then there should be an awful lot more of people doing what I'm doing. I don't think it's rocket science in that sense.
But it's what we're doing here. It's what a lot of people are doing. It's what this studio is all about. Susan, anything else on the Restream?
The Restream. Is he using Restream? Right. Restream's a service people use to stream to multiple places. I don't need that. I'm streaming to Twitch and YouTube simultaneously right now because I'm using very expensive, very special software called vMix. And I have an extremely powerful computer that's capable of doing it. Not only am I streaming to 2 different places simultaneously, I'm also recording 5 separate inputs simultaneously. So yeah, you have to have a really powerful computer for a lot of this stuff. But is he using Restream for his stuff? I guess that's kind of offloading some of the computational load, if you will.
Oh, thank you for.
No, sorry. Caleb said there's thumbs going up on the. I don't see.
There's thumbs up for independent media. You know, I have a lot of colleagues in Australia.
Dude, I suck. So I guess they're not getting any comments. That's fascinating. At the beginning of this, I observed the fact that this video of Dr. Drew's purportedly had 67,000 views on it and only like 200 comments. I have videos with 68,000 views. I looked this up. One of my videos with 68,000 views had 2,000 likes and 1,500 comments, I think. I don't remember what the numbers were now, but it was way higher than what Dr. Drew's got going on here. I have no idea why he had such a small number of comments on a video with so many views. The only explanation that I have is that Rumble is padding their view count. I don't know how else to interpret that information. They have been accused of that before, for what it's worth. I'm just like, I don't know how his view count is so high and his comments are so low. I'm going to die.
And they're coming up against some really tough measures that are going to be taken. Mm-hmm. And, I've got a podcast. It's on an independent platform. And I talked to the person in charge of that platform. I said, listen, if Missouri versus Biden is decided in favor of the government and it's game on for government censorship, okay? Yeah. It's game on.
I'm not sure what he's talking about. Missouri v. Biden? This is another example of what I was talking about before, of them just like coming up with these conspiracies and spreading nonsensical garbage. Because I have no idea what he's talking about here. I haven't heard about this paper here or that court case there or whatever. I haven't heard about any of this stuff. I have no clue what he's going on about. Oh my God, I jumped ahead. So he can light 10 little fires and it takes me 20 minutes to put them all out when he set them in 7 seconds flat.
You could say, okay, Twitter's going to go down and Getter's going to go down and Facebook and what have you. But I asked him, I said, what are you going to do when the government knocks on your door as the curator of a independent media station and they say, you know what, we didn't like that show Dr. Drew had on. What are you going to do when the government now...
Dude, why do I keep jumping out of the black? I'm terrible. So what are you going to do when they come for you is the question. Isn't that like a Randy Savage like slogan or something? Or was it Hulk Hogan? Some wrestler, famous wrestler from back in the day said that. What are you going to do when Hulkamania goes wild on you? I think that was the saying.
Starts to go after independent media.
Well, I can give you one at least slightly self-serving answer in that Locals was ultimately, we merged with Rumble, and Rumble is now the parent company of Locals. Rumble is building the new infrastructure of the internet. So Amazon AWS.
Rumble is rebuilding the infrastructure of the internet? Is that what he said?
AWS, Amazon Web Services. That's what the internet is basically built upon.
Yes.
Yeah, AWS is pretty. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of AWS based systems. It's like so you have to host your websites on some computer, right? AWS, Amazon Web Services, is a system in which you can host your website or your whatever. And it's a lot more complex than just web hosting. They have like analytics systems and APIs and all kinds of really, really deep stuff. And they're set up for massive traffic. Like they're set up, I mean, AWS is set up for the kind of traffic that like $20,000 a month in costs because you have so much traffic to your website. That's the amount of traffic that AWS deals with on a daily basis. So anyway, yeah, AWS is very big and important in the infrastructure of the internet. That's true. But there are other services. Microsoft Azure is another competing service. And I worked with a company that had Azure, and I think they paid like $100,000 a month or something for the services. So yeah, AWS is really important, but it's not like what the internet is all built on.
Rumble is now the parent company of Locals. Rumble is building the new infrastructure of the internet. So
no,
Amazon AWS, Amazon Web Services, that's what the internet is basically built upon.
Yes.
Virtually it's the most ubiquitous. Virtually every website is built on that. So when Parler went
a lot, yes, but not ubiquitous.
Down after January 6th, it was because they were on Amazon AWS. I don't know that I've said this publicly, but I'll say it real quick. I had a meeting with the Parler guys talking about Locals and seeing if we could kind of work together before January 6th. And they started telling us about their infrastructure. And I was like, do you guys realize that they could just take you out like that? And that's literally...
Dude, I'm telling you, I said this earlier. I'm going to say it again. This guy snaps like nobody I've ever seen in my life. This guy's got his snap game on lock. I wish I could snap that well. Seriously. I can kind of snap a little bit. I'm not that good. How did he get this good at snapping? Did he go to a snapping class?
Guys talking about Locals and seeing if we could kind of work together before January 6th. And they started telling us about their infrastructure. And I was like, do you guys realize that they could just take you out like that? And that's literally what they...
You hear that snap? That is truly impressive. That is a wild snap.
I don't know if it's a touchscreen slide or it's a thing you have to pull or whatever it is. But that's the softest spot of the internet right now. They can basically even Twitter. I think it's public that Twitter is run largely on Amazon AWS.
Oh yeah, everything.
That's a huge problem. Now he's buying server farms and all sorts of other stuff. But
is it built on AWS? I don't think Twitter is built on AWS. I could be wrong.
Rumble has server farms all over the place. I don't even know where they're at because
oh, please tell me there's a checkpoint here.
I'm not supposed to know because they need to be in all sorts of places. So, but there's an information war and a technological...
An information war, as Alex Jones would say. We're fighting an information war with the deep state.
Or that we're fighting on a million other levels. And actually, your question really is the right one, because even if your website still is up when they come to your door, how much are you going to be willing to fight? And then that's what anyone has to think that's going to be a little bit outside the mainstream.
Or what are you going to do like in France where they say, listen, Rumble's not available? Or in Brazil, let's just kind of turn off the lights.
Mm-hmm. You know, I don't know that that's true. This could be completely made up. But if some governments are saying you are hosting psychotic information that is detrimental to society, like, for example, Nazi videos, like you're hosting people talking about hating Jews and how evil they are just simply because they're Jewish, and that, we should do something about this Jewish menace and so on and so forth. If you're hosting information like from Richard Spencer and governments take you down, maybe you should reconsider what you're doing. Maybe you should think about whether it's a good idea to host that kind of content. Like, Twitter has turned into a Nazi hellscape at this point, sadly. It is insane. Twitter is now. I mean, it was already insane, honestly. Twitter was like a hellscape long before, but it's just like over the top now.
Yep.
What's going to be the workaround and all of this. And so, in people in Australia, France, Brazil, the discussions about the importance of independent media, it can't be more tense right now. People want the truth, and they are developing an extreme distrust all over the world at the same.
So I guess you go to this guy's podcast or whatever to get the truth, right? Is that what you're telling me? Okay. Independent media is not news. It's just commentary. It's political commentary and should not be treated as news.
Same time of the government and essentially the government-controlled state media.
Well, that's the powerful part, right? So that's the white pill of all of this, is that so many people have woken
the right pill
up. We are at a time when, there's blockchain technology and peer-to-peer technology, that there will be a way for the internet and for people to continue. And
I'm sorry, blockchain technology? What does blockchain have to do with anything? I don't understand. When I was learning to be a software engineer, for lack of a better term, there's this big book called CLRS. It's the initials of the 4 authors' last names. I don't remember who wrote it now, but it's actually called An Introduction to Algorithms, and it is very, very complex. It's the kind of thing that you have to have lots of math degrees to understand. Now, I don't have math degrees. I don't know calculus. Never took calculus. I took trigonometry, but that's not enough, really, to fully understand CLRS. I understood parts of it, but the point that I'm trying to get to here is that in CLRS, they had a whole section of the book dedicated to explaining how certain types of data structures work. So you've got binary trees as a type of data structure. You've got graphs, and you've got different sorting methods and things like that. All of these different types of data structures are all exactly the same as blockchain. That's what blockchain is. It's a way of storing data. And it's a method that is particularly interesting because the links in the chain cannot be changed or corrupted, because the one after it is based on the previous one. And, if it doesn't add up correctly, then it becomes obvious. So it can't be corrupted, and it can be decentralized. That's pretty cool, right? You can store information like, I don't know, people's names or transactions or something through this blockchain system, through this method of storing data. That's neat. What does that have to do with anything at all? Why is Dave talking about blockchain? Here's one of my big issues with blockchain. People use it as a buzzword. Anytime the word blockchain comes out, people's eyes get wide and they're super interested and they think it's super neat or whatever. It's just really, really frustrating to listen to people propagandize about blockchain.
So many people have woken up. We are at a time when, there's blockchain technology and peer-to-peer technology, that there will be a way for the internet and for people to continue. And the real beauty is, at least from a government perspective, is the government's they're not getting the best and the brightest anymore, right? Maybe they did 50
they're not
50 years ago when NASA was trying to send us to the moon, but they're not getting the best and the brightest anymore. So it was all.
They're not getting the best and brightest? NASA, the government? Are you kidding? Do you know how hard it is to get into NASA and or the government? What do you mean they're not getting the best and brightest? What does that even mean exactly?
So one of my arguments always when people wanted to regulate Google, it was like, all right, you're going to send in a government regulator to deal with the Google algorithm. It's like, these are not the people that can.
What are you talking about? That did not happen.
Deal with this.
Dave, that's how medicine is regulated. I got news for you.
No, but that's what
it's how it's been.
But that's what I'm saying. So maybe that's the silver lining, is that the machine.
Okay, medicine is regulated for good reason. I don't know what he's talking about with all this garbage. To be fair, there was a program called the PRISM program. PRISM was basically a system where the government gained backdoor access to a bunch of big companies under the Patriot Act. He's given access under the Patriot Act, and it's bad. It's not desirable at all. I don't like that at all. But, you know, blame George Bush for that one, I guess. As far as medicine goes, is this guy really complaining that medicine is regulated? Okay, yeah, I'm not playing this one. This is terrible.
In itself can't really keep up with the rate that technology can solve new problems. And, and in some sense, that's what the race is about.
Russia apparently banned Rumble today.
Is that right?
Is that right?
Well, we've got ways around that.
I'll
have to talk to the guys. I didn't hear that.
But
today.
you mentioned
Wow, that's actually a big deal because Dave is really, really plugged into Rumble since he created Locals and Locals merged with Rumble and so on. The boardroom is named after Dave Rubin in Rumble, like the Dave Rubin boardroom. That's what it's called. Seriously, I can't believe that Drew Pinsky had this information before Dave had this information. Is that true? I'm not seeing. Wait. I'm not seeing any evidence that it was banned. Wait. No, yeah, I'm not seeing any hard evidence of that. Either way, people in Russia use VPNs to access the internet, and with a VPN, you can do practically anything. Oh, it's hard to regulate people's internet use if they're behind a VPN. Not impossible, it's just very difficult, and I don't imagine that Russia wants to devote that much time and effort to regulating it. So
Jordan Peterson and crowds of 7,000. I went on an Australian tour, and we easily had 5,000 major venues, and we just told the story of, you know, what happened through the pandemic. You can't censor the live program.
Yeah.
Now, when they try to do that, and now
yes, you can. Are you kidding? I've had my live streams shut down 1 billion times.
now we can't even. Now we're getting down to Nazi Germany, really, where you can't meet and talk. You don't have.
Oh, please. You can't meet and talk? Yes, you can. Go out on the street corner and say whatever the hell you want. Nobody is stopping you. You don't have a right to access this private company's platform if they don't want you on there. That's not a violation of freedom of speech.
Have freedom of assembly.
Look what happened in Canada. I mean, they went after the bank accounts. So there's always ways that they can try.
Again, little fires. They're lighting these little fires everywhere. Wait, did Canada go after bank accounts of people? No, they didn't. I don't know if you guys knew this or not. It's illegal to lie about what you're going to use money for. So if you fundraise online, say you claim that you're going to fundraise for like the SSA and then you keep all of the money and use it for something else, that's wire fraud. And you will go to jail for that. Jim Baker, the televangelist, went to jail for wire fraud for 7 years. He was sentenced to 15, but the judge in his case said, you make Christianity look bad after sentencing him. And he said that was religious persecution, and his appeals worked after 7 years. Anyway, you can't just say whatever. You can't just go out there and tell people, like, I'm going to use money for whatever and then not use it for that. So what happened, what Dave Rubin is talking about here with people taking people's money or the government taking people's money or whatever, there's a big trucker protest on the far right in Canada, and they raised a bunch of money online, and Canada basically told them that they needed to get a plan for what was going to happen with that money or they couldn't use it. They also froze people's bank accounts for certain specific reasons. I don't even remember exactly what happened with it, but it's a complete misrepresentation of reality. Of course, that's what these people are best at, misrepresenting society. Wow, that was a hard jump.
Down to Nazi Germany, really, where you can't meet and talk. You don't have freedom.
This is honestly a blight on this guy's reputation, on anybody's reputation to say something like this. He doesn't understand the first thing about it.
Look what happened in Canada. I mean, they went after the bank. So there's always ways that they can try to pressure you and and it's fear.
Who is they? Are they in the room with us right now?
More than anything else, right? They're going to just apply fear so that, the bank, even if Trudeau felt, okay, we don't have to take out everybody's bank account, but if we can do it to enough people.
Yeah, it's called the chilling effect, and that does exist. But again, like, closing or freezing accounts is what they did. Freezing accounts was 100% justified in the case that he's referring to here.
I interviewed one of the leaders of the trucker movement right in this chair a few months ago. She's still caught up in all sorts of legal stuff. And what that does is it sends a signal out to the rest of the country like, all right, just be wary of next time you do this. But look, Trudeau is still in charge of Canada. Newsom is still in charge of California. Biden is apparently still in charge of the United States.
That's because they're not absolutely psychotic or unglued from reality. They're pretty normal for the most part. They're kind of run-of-the-mill, democratic, kind of, center left-leaning people. They just keep getting voted in for that reason.
So we got work.
There's one historical truth that I know to be so through my study of history, and that is when the guillotines come out, they're coming for you eventually. Yeah. If you pull out a guillotine, you'll be up on the guillotine.
So you think that Rumble removing your account or YouTube removing your account or whatever, you think that that's a guillotine? That's comparable to a guillotine? What is wrong with these people?
It's just how it works.
Wow.
The other thing is, do you know Matthias Desmond? Have you had a chance to talk to him yet?
No, I don't think
He's the guy that came up with the came up with the concept of mass formation. Really interesting dude.
Well, okay, so I don't know him personally.
Yeah,
but
and I did a long interview with him the other day. It's up on one of our Ask Dr. Drew on our website, and he said that the way he was studying them before this all hit. He was sort of fascinated by them, and then he ended up writing a book called The Psychology of Totalitarianism. Yeah. And in that book,
I have no idea what he's talking about right now. Like, this is just, he's going on a weird rant here.
Showed that about 20% of people get hypnotized very easily. They are just very...
Hypnotism is not real. There's the power of suggestion, and there is putting people in a more relaxed state, I suppose, to some degree. But hypnotism, the way it's portrayed, certainly, by Dr. Drew and by others, is fake. Hypnotism is fake. I don't know if you guys ever seen the movie Office Space. You remember the whole premise was that the guy had a terrible, stressful life, and he was about to crack, and his therapist was doing like hypnotherapy on him, and right the moment that he, snapped his fingers and said, "You will be asleep right now," he died of a heart attack. The moment he said that, so he couldn't reverse the effects of the hypnotism or whatever. That's all fake. That's not real. That's not how this works.
Prone to propaganda, and they get very gratified, and the narcissists get way into that. About 70% of people just hide. They I don't want to lose my job. I don't want to get in any trouble. I'll just go.
Chilling effect. Yeah. Well, some cases the chilling effect is good and justified. For example, if somebody is a Nazi, full-blown Nazi, real Nazi, not like a pretend, I don't like their opinion Nazi. I mean, a real full-blown Nazi. They should feel a chilling effect if they're going to spout off their ridiculous Nazi opinions or, eugenics opinions or something. They should feel a chilling effect. They should feel like, wow, if I say this, I might lose my job. Yeah, I hope you do feel that way. Chilling effect isn't always bad.
Going along to get along. And about 5 to 10% see the bullshit. So throw the flag. Yeah. Throw the flag. So the really interesting question going forward is, how do we expand that group, the 5 to 10%? How do we get the 70% to feel strong enough to stand up to that 20%? And how do we get that 20% to shrink a little bit?
Well, I think one thing we have to do is give the devil his due, which is that we have to acknowledge that these people have done a tremendous amount of damage. I mean, you've confused a generation of kids.
Who are these people?
As I said earlier, the founding of the country, whether their genitals match their gender, a series of other things. If you even look at these college protests right now, have you seen some of these videos where just random people go out there and ask them, well, what river to what sea?
Yeah, they have
and
no
they
idea.
don't know what they're protesting.
Yes, they're just hypnotized.
And they're here and they're chanting.
That is just nonsense. Everybody knows what they're protesting about. There's a genocide happening in Palestine right now. In fact, just this morning, I think, or recently, it got even worse than it was before, disturbingly. It was already bad. So people are fully aware that they're protesting Palestine's treatment, or Israel's treatment of Palestinians. Everyone knows that. No surprises. Some people aren't aware of specifics, but everybody understands what they're protesting.
Crazy things that they have no knowledge of.
Yeah.
They're stepping on other students' rights to free speech and freedom of association.
Whose rights are being trampled by Palestine? By what do you call it? Like by protesters in favor of Palestine and against Israel. Whose rights are being trampled by people doing that? What's he talking about here?
A movement and all these things, and they think they're the good guys while doing it, which is the most dangerous thing, right? Because most bad things are done in the name. Hitler thought he was a good guy. So
100%.
I don't think he thought he was a good guy. I think Hitler fully recognized that he was terrible. The eugenics movement that came before Hitler, long before Hitler, decades, the eugenics movement believed that it was like the good guys. The eugenics movement spread the idea that it was a kindness to put somebody out of their misery who was disabled. It was a good thing. You were helping them. When in reality, bodily autonomy should come above all else. It's not about, like, quote unquote, helping anybody or whatever. You should have the right to control your life and your whatever. You should be able to make decisions for yourself. They thought they were good guys. I don't think Hitler believed that about himself. I think he knew what he was doing.
So you have to give credit to the people that took over the institutions that destroyed so much, the institutions that you guys.
You do? I don't give credit to Hitler for anything.
Guys probably really cared about and trusted for a long time. The media institutions, all of them, they were rotted out. We have to acknowledge it. We can't just, they're just blue-haired morons and we can make fun of them all day, but there's something.
Oh, I guess he means by credit them, he means you have to acknowledge it. Okay.
Something much darker going on there. They've done an awful lot of destruction while the rest of us, I suppose, live lives. And
we need to really get focused and stand up and keep talking. And I think I like to stop on the white pill. I think to have the idea that there is a white pill here. That
the white pill, the red pill, I believe, is going really, really far to the right. And I believe the black pill is being all doomer about the situation, believing it can't be fixed. What's the white pill? Is that like being really optimistic, or I don't know, or is that being like a white supremacist? I'm not sure.
When the day is done, the fact that we're seeing this, that we're talking about it, that we have Rumble and outlets and places to go to sort of express ourselves. And again, for all of our people out there, we appreciate you being here, listening. With the Rumble Ranchers, I know we're up and busy. Susan's got her eye on them, as well as our people on Restream. We go out on multiple platforms, but when we get on that Rumble homepage, it helps. We reach a lot of people. And
I don't believe that. I don't think so. Just looking at his numbers, again, I looked at these numbers the other day. This video, it says it has 67,000 views on it within just a few hours of its release. And it had 119 comments and 530 upvotes or likes. I have a video with 68,000 views on it. Let me find it and tell you how many likes and comments and dislikes and everything are on it. All right, here's a video with 59,000 views on it on YouTube, 3,000 likes, and 700 comments. To his 500 likes and 100 comments. So I'm getting, what is that, like 5 times as many likes and comments, 6, 7 times as many likes and comments, apparently, to each view that I get. And he's purportedly way bigger than me. He's getting way more views. I mean, he's a famous TV doctor, of course, right? But I don't believe these. I don't believe these comments or likes or views or anything. I think this is fake. I think Rumble's padding their numbers. They must be. Here's one, 67,000 views, 874 comments, 3,000 likes. 2,950 likes, actually. I guess that was a less popular video. But anyway, the point is that I don't believe these numbers for a single second. And apparently, while he was live, there weren't enough questions. Nobody was asking any questions. Nobody was attending the live stream. And like, he keeps asking his producer or whatever for questions, asking her to give like questions people are asking on his stream. And she doesn't have any. That's weird, huh? I don't think Drew is padding his numbers, but something is going on here. Something not quite right about this situation. And nobody would know that if they didn't have a back end to access the way that I do or whatever. You know, most people don't, like, they don't have social media accounts that are of this size that can compare.
I think we are there
why we
today.
built it, so I'm thrilled.
Yeah, and I thank you for that. Thank you for Locals. Peter, thank you for all you've done. And I do think people should get the book, Courage to...
Okay, this is supposed to be about turbo cancer. Yeah, they did. I don't think they mentioned that like once. Everything else is just about, you know, COVID conspiracy nonsense. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments. That was wild. That was a wild ride.